Well, welcome everyone back to Facebook Live. My name is John Marshall. I have the honor of serving as president of this fine institution, and I am joined today by a fantastic cast. Some of you that have been watching us for some time might be asking yourselves, where are you and why are you not in Grand Junction? So today we're kicking off the Maverick Momentum Tour, and that Maverick Momentum Tour really is helping us to highlight how CMU has grown to become a statewide provider, and we've got a statewide footprint. As it turns out, several of us on this panel here actually went to Broomfield High School, including me. And so we're here at Silter R. Ford in Broomfield, Colorado, and we're just thrilled to be able to welcome some additional panelists. Allison Griffin, Chair of the Board of Trustees for CMU, Kasia Iwaniczko, also Board of Trustees for CMU and a Broomfield High graduate, and a special guest, alum, former coach, and longtime Broomfield guide, Beau Smith, who's also a Mav. So we're grateful to have all of you here today. So I thought maybe what we might do is start, I've got a few topics here, and start with you, Allison. You know, you live just up the road, and so you probably had the easiest drive of the three of us. You spend your work in education, and I think maybe some of the parents and campus members of the campus community may not have that full context. Tell us a little bit about the work that you do day in, day out, and how you're able to bring that expertise to CMU.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. It's so great to be with you, and you're right. I did just come a few miles away from Boulder County. So I've actually spent my career in post-secondary education, mainly on the policy side. So I started my work in Washington, D.C. I was a policy advisor to the House Education and Workforce Committee, and help craft federal legislation that helps students pay for college. And I have spent the last 2 decades working on issues around financial aid and access and completion of post-secondary education. I moved to Colorado about 11 years ago because I felt like Colorado was a place that really embraced innovation, a new way of educating students, a passion for students individually as learners, and I felt like Colorado has a great connection in our local communities to the workforce and industry. And so it wasn't just about helping students get access to financial aid, it was actually helping them use their credential to move into the workforce.
Well, and of course that work is near and dear and central to kind of what we're doing. And so Allison has just been an unbelievable asset to our institution. We're grateful to have your service, which of course is all volunteer, which you volunteer an enormous amount of time. And the same, I think, you know, Kasia, you have the benefit as a member of our Board of Trustees of having been an alum and having sat in the shoes of a student. Talk to us a little bit about what this means, the Maverick Momentum Tour, what we're up to on campus, and why this tour.
Of course, thank you, President Marshall. And I've got some notes here so I can refer back to so many of the amazing things that are taking place on campus. And our Board of Trustees is incredibly excited about the things that are happening at CMU. From our perspective, we're incredibly excited to participate and engage with faculty and staff and alums and community members, all of our elected officials that are being engaged, and all the incredible things that are unfolding around the presidential search, obviously, the culmination of the presidential search process. And we're obviously very excited about the culmination of that and the momentum that took place of the series of engagement activities across Colorado between now and obviously the formal presidential investiture ceremony that's taking place on October 22nd. So on campus, obviously. And so the ceremony itself is really an opportunity for our campus to come together, and it's an honor, it really is an honor that goes to really reflecting on the process of selecting the president for the institution. And it gives the campus and the community a bit of a reminder of the wonderful things around higher education, I would say.
Kind of celebrating our history in some ways, right? In terms of both the institution
and it reinforces our commitment to
yeah.
that. And I think it also reinforces our role and our mission to the students, to the region, and certainly to the entire state of Colorado. And I think that's incredibly meaningful, and it should be something that we none of us, certainly that sit here, none of the alumni, none of the trustees around the table take lightly. And I think everyone joining us today on this Facebook Live should take a few moments to go to our website, and I'm going to speak very slowly here so everyone grabs it, and hopefully it'll be...
and we might be able to pull it up on the...
That would be great, yeah.
Production guys might be able to pull it up on the screen too.
But it's coloradomesa.edu/MAV-month. And take a look at the series of alumni and athletic events that are taking place and the various panel discussions like this one today, and more of the things that are happening throughout the course of the month of October. And obviously the team is kicking off today, right here in Broomfield, and we're super excited to head over to Broomfield High School tonight.
Surreal, right?
I think many of us haven't been back in a little while, but it'll be wonderful. And tomorrow we head over to Pueblo with the football team, and a few other events in Denver and Montrose and the Bishop Technical Campus, and then back to the CMU main campus with events throughout the course of October.
It's a full month.
Yeah, it's a full month, right? With the culmination taking place around the actual investiture ceremony and homecoming weekend.
Well, I had to look up what an investiture was when this whole thing started, but I feel like I'm starting to figure it out. So I'll try and make sure we don't screw it up.
Lots of pomp and circumstance, right?
What a great, I mean, it really is, in all seriousness, it's such a fun way to celebrate the wholeness of the institution, right? We're coming up on our 100th year anniversary, and I think, part of what I've had to reflect on is it's a lot bigger than any one person. This is an opportunity for the university to really celebrate our history and why the work matters. And so I appreciate that overview a lot, Kasia. MAV month.
MAV month.
coloradomesa.edu/MAV-month, hyphen in there. So, a word about this fall. It's been interesting. The first 6-7 weeks of the semester have been. It's been a while, maybe since you've been back on campus, Beau, but it's been remarkable coming out of COVID in some ways, and we're still working through it, obviously. But to see students really back in class and back at events and experiencing joy in each other, and marching bands and plays, and it does the heart good to see the Mavs really trying to come back and have that experience. So the question becomes, well, why here? Why this group? What's the connection between Broomfield? And so, as I mentioned, Trustee Iwaniczko MacLeod, a Broomfield High School graduate, Beau Smith, a Broomfield High School graduate. I'm a Broomfield High School graduate. Beau, jump in the conversation here. What do you think it is about the experience that we had here and some of those experiences that really allowed us to springboard in and have the experience we had at Mesa?
Well, I think first, John, it's great to see you.
Likewise.
Great to meet Allison today for the first time and see Kasia. It's like old home week, right?
Yeah.
Homecoming at Broomfield High School, and so I know it'll be homecoming in Grand Junction later this month. But it's good to see everybody back here. And I think I'm so blessed to have grown up in Broomfield.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's such pride and community here when we grew up, and I think that pride comes from the people and the community. And so we were so fortunate to have faculty, and we call them faculty now. I just thought of them as teachers at the time.
Right.
But I was at Emerald Elementary School or Broomfield Heights Middle School or Broomfield High School, and so Bobby Fielder or Sharon Babb, and the pride that they poured into us and how they cared about us and how they cared about the community was a springboard towards me deciding to go to Grand Junction, because it was such a similar feel, and Colorado Mesa University had the same feel for me. So it was an easy transition from that 18, 19-year-old high school senior to a freshman at Colorado Mesa University because I got the same treatment at CMU from Chris Byes and from Doug Skockle and Tess Carmichael and such, those professors that even 30 years later I could tell you stories about how they treated me and how they affected my life. And so that pride that they poured into me, I didn't know that it was on the education side at the time, but that relates to business today. And so when you're able to do that same thing for your employees, it all translates. So you couldn't connect the dots when you were going through it, but as you look back, the community and the pride in that community that those people just put inside you when they educated you, now we're able to give that back.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. There is something about the two communities that have, there's some sort of common bonds between those communities. That's, and I love hearing some of those names I haven't heard in a long time, particularly here at Broomfield. Kasia, I wonder the same question to you. Same experience, right?
Yeah.
Grew up, went to Broomfield schools, and found your way to Mesa. Obviously, you had an amazing career there, but what were some of the common threads you found, and what allowed you to be successful?
No, I mean, it's so interesting to hear Beau talk about it, because we're in the relationship business at the end of the day, right? And our relationship was developed somewhere, and we can certainly say that it was developed here, the way that we were treated. And I think my engagement started, and the way that fundamentally that foundation began was in Broomfield. The way and again, I was an immigrant to this country, and this community embraced me. It embraced my family. And I think a lot of the students that I think, quite frankly, most of the students didn't know the challenges that I had speaking English, learning English, and the community, the middle school, Broomfield Heights Middle School, Broomfield High School then, and the teachers, they embraced me, they embraced our family. No other, and I, we lived right outside of the community. And so this was truly the only town that, and the only institutions that actually said, we will certainly take you, even though no one really spoke Polish. We will take you, we will figure it out, and we will embrace you. And so that to me is meaningful. And I will say that it was really challenging for our family. So I think threading that to then CMU, we do that for our first gen students. Frankly, we do that for all of our students, right?
That's right.
And so it's so meaningful how that consistently shapes that individual as they head out into the world. And so that relationship development and building, it is led by example. And so I will say that started for me in Broomfield. It continued on at Mesa. And to this day, right, it's what I lean on every single day.
Yeah, and I reflect on that, going through from elementary to middle school, high school, really not appreciating the quality. I mean, I know when I got to Mesa, I was better prepared than a lot of my peers were, and had no idea that it was because we went to a really good high school, and that we were just blessed to get, like you talked about Miss Bab, people like that who were just incredibly good teachers. And Allison, I wonder, you're in that education space a lot. How do you see that connection today? I mean, the schools, K-12 system's changing. I wonder if you might just reflect on that a little bit, of that preparation and springboard into higher ed.
Absolutely. So you're right, K-12 and higher ed are changing. I have two middle school sons who I think have come to expect that their education will, the opportunity will always be there for them to engage in some way. And education is not just about going to a physical place, but it's about having experiences across your lifetime and weaving them back into what you're learning in the classroom. And I would say that that sort of experiential learning is quite a bit different than perhaps what I experienced as a middle schooler.
Sure.
And I think what CMU is doing really well is bringing that experience from the real world into the classroom. The relationships the university has with local industry, with the business community, with the community at large, certainly with our K-12 institutions across the county, and let me not forget just the other relationships that CMU has built across the higher ed community in Colorado and beyond. I think one of the things that I heard Beau say this, you just said this idea of connection. It's not just connection with people, it's actually connection with your discipline, connection with research, connection with learning. CMU has fostered that connection between people and ideas, and I think that's what really makes the university uniquely positioned.
Yeah, and that relationship orientation, I think we spent a lot of time this week talking about this this conversation around a human scale university, creating CMU as a place that is first and foremost connected and driven not by bricks and mortar, not by anything other than the people that make it up. And Beau, that's kind of where you started the conversation. I want to take a slight turn on that and ask you, I read a piece in the Wall Street Journal a week and a half, 2 weeks ago maybe, about boys and how increasingly they're not going on to college. You were obviously a very successful athlete, and I'm guessing that made a big difference propelling you into higher education. But I wonder how, CMU, obviously athletics has been a big deal for us in terms of helping those first generation students and helping maybe kids who didn't see college in their future, and athletics has been that link. I wonder if you might just talk about that a little bit, because you've obviously lived that.
Yeah, I was the first person in my family to graduate from college, but I wasn't the first person to play sports. And so the culture I grew up in was, you learned all your tough lessons and all of your work ethic from the time you're 4, 5, or 6 years old, in an athletic field. And so, I'm not saying that that's the only way to do it, but not everybody grows up at the same cadence. And Allison probably has analytics to support this, but I just know it from the time I spent at Broomfield High School and at CMU is that boys grow up at a different pace, and sometimes the lessons that you learn in those athletic situations, and I learned a lot of them in my 4 years as a player for Doug Skokel at CMU, and then I was able to give that back as a coach for 4 years there. And so they're not perfect all the time, and so to help them start to understand and transition the tough lessons learned on the athletic field at a university in their early 20s allows them to make that next step of separation away from athletics, because it's so difficult, and you don't know that it is to something that you've been doing since you're 4, 5, or 6 as a football player, basketball player, baseball player. But to walk away from that and not know what to do, you have to start to learn those transitions. And Mesa absolutely did that for me. It prepared me to walk away from athletics and use all the lessons learned in a way that I could do that in business, and not only for myself, but pass it along to others. That hands-on experience that athletics gives, you're describing the same thing, Allison, right? There's this idea of experiential learning. We see that in the Maverick Teaching Hotel, right? We see that in our Western Colorado Community College and all the career technical work we do. We see that in things like FERS or what we refer to as the Body Farm.
Yes.
CMU's made that a hallmark of not just the relational elements of it, but really that hands-on piece, and whether that's in the classroom or outside the classroom. And Kasia, you spend a lot of time outside the classroom really digging in and getting involved, and we talk a lot about that, but I wonder if you'd share a little about your experience. What did you find yourself involved in, and how did that prepare you or help you be successful?
Sure. So, I think really...
Well, hang on a second.
Sure.
I forgot to mention a really key detail here.
Sure.
So you were an elected student leader, but I think you were the first female student body president ever at Mesa, right? Is that true, in the first 75 years or something?
Yes.
Is that true?
It's true.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
As I understand it anyway. Well, yes. I got into a lot of good trouble, let's just say that.
Right.
No, I will. The one thing I will say without hesitation for all the young women that are listening out on Facebook Live is run for office, right? And it should start very early. Run for your middle school office, run for your grade school, your high school, your college office, right? Because we certainly need very bright, brilliant, thoughtful voices leading the work, right? And it has to start somewhere, and you have to get very comfortable with being uncomfortable in doing all of this work. And that is certainly what I did. And we, at that time, had 3,600 students at Mesa, and it was a very uncomfortable place to be. But it was for me in 1996 to be elected the first female student body president in the institution's history, and that institution started in 1925, right? Very uncomfortable. And certainly there were some folks around me that made it very uncomfortable for me to be that. But it helped me grow. It wore me out, but it helped me grow. But that being said, my experience at Mesa and now CMU was phenomenal. I mean, I think, again, going back to the country that came from, it was communist, it was oppressive, women didn't have a voice. These types of opportunities were just not presented. And they certainly were not presented to females. So what I would say is, you know, we have a really phenomenal institution. Our professors, our faculty, our staff, we truly wrap our arms around individuals as they come in to ensure the success. And I can't say enough. And I think the person that and my mentor and advisor at the time was the late Dr. Jose Pierre. And he challenged me every day to be better, dream bigger, have a louder voice, and never let my gender define my future. And he helped me sort of get out of my own way and run for office and be very uncomfortable before I could be comfortable. And to this day, I think, you know, I have to kind of reflect back on that often, because a lot of the work that I do tends to be a first in a lot of the industries that I go into, whether it's a public utility, whether it's a telecom, whether it's finance, whether it's healthcare. There's always a first for females. And you have to get very uncomfortable. And sometimes you're the only woman at the table. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a louder voice in the truest sense. You just have to address things differently. And so you figure out those paths, but having the right individuals at your side. And those are the things truly that I feel that I learned at that institution because of the class sizes that we continue to have, because of the individuals that we have at CMU. So
yeah, I mean, listening to you talk about your experience with Dr. Jose Pierre, who of course, you know, passed in an untimely way in the mid-90s, and I think about, you know, his encouragement for you to get out of your comfort zone and try something that was more challenging. You know, and I had the same experience with Dr. John Redifer, who, you know, went that extra mile to say, no, we're not just going to sort of go through the motions here. You know, I really am going to dig in and make you work, and I'm going to make you think and challenge you to what's next for you, right? You talk about being the first female, and of course right now we're led by kind of a unique situation here, Chair Griffin. I wonder, you know, what do you think that means as an institution to be led by an executive committee on our board of trustees that's all women?
Yes. So you're right. Our executive committee, 4 officers on our executive committee, all women. I believe we are currently the only public institution in the state of Colorado that has an executive committee led by all women. So it's exciting, one, to be the first, Kasia, as you shared, and then also I think it reflects 2 things. One, picking up on what Kasia shared, this idea that we are representing to the women on our campus, whether students, faculty, staff, even members of our Grand Junction community
Yeah.
that, working together, both within gender, but ultimately across gender, is actually the wave of the future, the way of the future.
Yeah.
We have had an incredible collegial experience, the four of us. We've spent some time together over the summer preparing for the year ahead on the board, and I feel like we've been able to be really direct and honest with each other, but we also reflect a spirit of trust and camaraderie, and perhaps a degree of empathy as well, in a way that I think really reflects the community that I spoke of and that connection that I spoke of earlier, and what CMU really embodies.
Yeah, and I think of just at the end of the day, when we're trying to do our best work, we do that best work when we've got a variety of voices at the table. And
For sure.
I can't help but think that part of the way that you challenge our university to get better is also benefiting from that same spirit. And of course, Grand Junction's got a long history of this, right? Maxine Albers is the first county commissioner, and Peg Foster, and a lot of these, and you look around our community today, and many of the key leaders, from city council to county commission to our economic development partners in the chamber and others, led by women, and so we're grateful to have your leadership in that regard.
Thank you.
I wonder, Beau, before we, we're here in Broomfield, and it's kind of a surreal experience, to be honest with you. I think most of us were here when it was kind of whatever you want to think of as old Broomfield, right? Before it was a county, before the mall was here, when these were all cattle fields and everything else. A couple of just great memories growing up in Broomfield. I wonder if you might share one or two as we head over to Elizabeth Kennedy Stadium tonight and enjoy a football game.
Well, you all will remember Broomfield days.
Of course.
Oh, sure.
And so it's a community this size, and it's grown. It's a different place than it was when we grew up. But there wasn't a day that when Broomfield Days was coming, everybody in town knew. And it usually matched up with homecoming, and so there was a parade and the cheerleaders, and we would all go to Broomfield Days. And I can remember seeing both of you there, and this is now 40 years ago. So Broomfield Days was huge. But I will say, we're going to go to the football game tonight, and there will be a sense of community, and there always was. So I grew up. My parents graduated from Broomfield High School. My grandparents grew up in Lafayette. So this is old home week. So we'll walk in there and we'll stand on the track tonight, and when the cheerleaders come out and the band plays and the football field team takes the field, there's just something about it that you can still call home. I've not been back to a football game for a long time, so to be together, with the two of you to go back and do that today is gonna be a lot of fun.
It's pretty.
I agree.
It's pretty fun. Kasia, what about you? You have some particular fun or memorable things coming back here?
Oh, sure. Well, who doesn't love Broomfield Days? I was, as you know, the mascot. I will enjoy that in 80-degree heat, walking down the streets of Broomfield. I loved the junk burgers. I loved going bowling. I loved all the things, right, that Broomfield had to offer. And you always knew where everybody was at any given time. Certainly not by the cell phones that we never had. But
just sort of walking like feral kids all over town.
That's right. It was just that consistent camaraderie. I think. I
the
loved
connections. If we went to Broomfield and Mesa, right? And so the connection, if it goes back so long, and so growing up here and then at CMU together, if the phone rings or it's a text message from somebody that went to Broomfield and Mesa, I answered on the first ring.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter if I haven't seen you in 10 years.
That's right.
You immediately put that phone number in your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. When over the summer, when the news broke that somehow the board picked me, I get these calls from people I hadn't talked to in 25 years from Broomfield, and they were the first text messages I got were, Broomfield kids that were reaching out, and just an amazing history and connection there.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to, you mentioned some of those teachers and coaches, and I think just we're in the education business, and at the end of the day, the professors like Jose Pierre and John Rediford, teachers like Mrs. Babb, Gary Davies, you talked about Mrs. Heller, and I'm told Charlene Orvis is going to be there tonight, which is really just more fun than I can even imagine to see her. So, but it's nice to be able to pause and kind of honor those people who've poured into kids for decades, really, and we get to sit here and be beneficiaries of that. So that's pretty special.
Keep paying it forward, right?
Yeah. Well, other thoughts before we wrap today, my fellow panelists?
It's nice to be with you, nice to be with colleagues. I've enjoyed listening to your Broomfield reflections. I actually lived in Broomfield for about 4 years.
Oh,
so,
you did?
Yes, I was picking up on a few threads of connection that I have too. So,
Sure.
But no, congratulations for the kickoff of Mav Month and this Momentum Tour. It's going to be really exciting
Yeah,
to
we're
celebrate CMU across the state.
Yeah. Beau, Kasia?
Just excited to be here. Go Eagles, go Mavs.
Yeah, no, go Eagles, go Mavs.
That's right. That's right.
Tomorrow we're going to head down to Pueblo. Mavs are 3-0. We're going to go down there and face Brand X, and excited to see that. To everybody at home and out there in Mavland, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again real soon.
Go Mavs.